Okay. I stayed awake thinking about working capital in project finance loans. That's pretty that's pretty bad. Now, I realized that, after, in all these stupid exercises I do, I didn't have one that's just focused on working capital. And here's where I find working capital different. In very occasional situations, the working capital can exceed a month. And if you have a monthly model, what do you do about that? You have to push the recoveries of the working capital into future days. Now, that's rare, but it could happen. And then the other problem is, how do we really compute the initial working capital? Working capital appears as soon as you record revenues, but you want to put some working capital earlier into the sources and uses analysis. And then finally, what I find maybe a touch interesting is, what's the difference between financing working capital with a grace period or a working capital loan? And here's how we'll do it. Let me see, do I have generic macros open? I have it open. So, Shift Control C. Okay. And here's some assumptions. I just made some assumptions that the capital expenditure is small, but the fuel cost is really high and it increases, meaning our revenues increase, meaning the accounts receivable will increase. Now, I might have changed this assumption and just have it hold flat for the some of the financing. And then I put financing days by month, so I should kind of maybe put this Shift Control right arrow Control X Control V month. Okay, and then we have either kind of a basic loan with a grace period, and this is percent per annum and years, and then we'll put months. Let's figure out how many months we really need. Maybe 12 months for a grace period after the construction. But then we could also make a working capital loan, and I want to see, well, which is better for the ultimate IRR. And we'll have to adjust the size of the loan and everything else. So in the model, I didn't want you to have to put in all the dates and everything else. I made this a monthly model. The whole thing's monthly. If it's semi-annual, it's not nearly, the issues really don't arise because these days outstanding are less than aggregate semi-annual period. Okay, so we can kind of start with a simple one, and then these are short days. So what I set this up so we'll have a whole lot of working capital and not much capital investment. And I put a capacity charge of to cover this cost, so I put 15%. Now, when I did that, so we then put a little switch in for the operating and construction period, constructions period, which I just said 2, and the way I got 2 was use a count if on the true false. Used the year function and a lookup to get the operating expense. The capacity charge is just flat. Add the fuel recover, get the revenues, and then we have pre-tax cash flow, revenues minus expenses minus capex, and that kind of annual IR without working capital is that. So now let's work on some of the working capital. Now, let's do the simple one. Let's put accounts payable. For the fuel. And the first thing, let's put days in period. Okay, and I'm going to try to talk through this. So the days in period are the end day minus the start day plus 1 always, because I don't know why. I should know exactly, but it's because you subtract 1 and all that stuff. And then we have AP days. Now, why don't I put the month? Okay, so we put April month. And look at this. Shift Control R, because I have the generic macros open, and then we can get the next one, which is come on. This is the AP days. So okay, I put this on, and we have different days depending on the different months, and then we can put our fuel cost. No, let's put let's put that in, and then that's the operating expense, and then we have the AP days percent accounts payable outstanding. So this time it's really easy. We just take the accounts payable days divided by the total days. And let's just understand what the Shift Control P, Shift Control R. Now let's understand what that really means. That means if we have 2,000 of accounts payable, we get paid. We have 12 days outstanding, so we get paid 60. I can put this, although you never would have to do this, percent accounts payable paid, which is just 1 minus this. Okay, so or better yet, it's really the 31 days minus the 10 days that are outstanding divided by the 31 days. Okay, and we can put a little check. Okay, now I'm kind of overdoing this, but when we have here we've paid 61% of it, 31% we have yet to be paid. Now you can just put the accounts payable balance. Okay, don't worry, this is not going to be this simple. Please don't just shut the video off now if you think this is all I'm doing. I'm not just doing this. Because when we have this, these more than the 30 days, that's when it's going to become a real pain in the butt, ass, whatever. So we can also put opening balance. We can add fuel expense paid, add fuel expense less paid this period less paid last period, next period, less paid from prior period. I got to get this right. And then we can put a closing balance. I have to push this up so so you can see it. So the opening balance equal to the closing balance. We just take the fuel expense and add that. We take the percent paid this period, so we can take this number times the fuel expense. That's what's paid this period, and then we can take, okay, well, the amount we didn't pay the amount we didn't pay is just a minute. Shit. Let's just do this first. Plus this minus this minus this. Okay. Okay. Now, so this is really bad. It never gets paid. But this, if we could do a formula for this one, and then we'll move it backwards. This is the amount that we didn't get paid, which is the total expense we had minus the amount we got paid. And we can copy that across. And then we just have another way of showing exactly the same result. Okay, but that's going to be important. That's going to be important because what happens in the next case, where we have some for its percent pay, and this should be percent this period. Okay, so we're gonna, now what happens if this is more than 100%? Then we pay zero this period, and then some next period, and then some next period. And by the way, for this one, we could have also, let's just see how we could have done this. We could have said, well, let's take the last period. I'm thinking about using offset, but I don't think it's worth it. Well, let's take the amount that's not paid this period times the expense last period, so you can do the same thing here. Okay, and maybe that's a kind of better way to do it. Okay, so we can use these percentages now. Now let's do the same thing with accounts receivable, and let's put this up. Okay, now let's how about we copy these ones. Okay, now it's going to be a little bit more complicated. Days and period, we'll put AP, and then we'll put revenues. And now let's put, instead of this, let's be a little more careful. Let's put percent paid this period, percent paid next period, and then we can put percent paid in 2 periods. And we could have, it's kind of like an aging of accounts receivable, and they better add up. They better add up to 100%. So the days in the period, we don't have to do that again. That was subtracting the end date from the begin date. We use the month function to get the number of months, and then for the we use the lookup function on the month, and we want to potentially, I don't know how this would really work, is get the accounts receivable days. And then we can now get the revenues. Okay, and I purposely made this so it's we have much higher revenues outstanding, accounts receivable. So now the percent that's paid this period, let's see what it is. It is, we take the, remember we take the, I'm going to do it like this just a sec. Percent paid this period was the total days minus the accounts payable days. So we put the, let's do the, this minus that divided by that. Shit. This minus that divided by that. Okay. And the just a minute. Okay, I'm back. Now, I got stuck just now, and I didn't realize how difficult this is. And I'm at the airport, and I found out I got a goddamn middle seat from San Francisco to Korea, South Korea. Oh, shit. Okay, so I'm in a bad mood. But here's what you do. We want to find out, you know, if we have 85 days outstanding. This month has 31 days. And this month says 28. So we take 31 plus the 28. We don't start paying anything off until this period. This period has 90 days. So finally we can pay off 5 in this period. And then we can pay off the rest of the 31 minus the 5. So we can we'll take this minus the rest of the 5 and pay it off in the last period. So this thing I just showed you is complete bullshit. And what we need to do is kind of have a little table. Sorry about the background noise. Oh shit. We need to have a little table that says we have 5 days from here. Now to get this table, we're going to use the maximum and the minimum and an offset. I'm going to do it first with just the maximum and minimum. I'm going to kind of use a brute force method first. So what we do is we say, well, let's see how many days we have and compare that to the days outstanding. And the very first thing, if that's negative, that means we pay nothing from this period. Now, since we're going to put this on a, we're going to copy it down, I need to put the dollar signs. I should have used that for. Okay, now we can copy that down. Now, oops. So this is going to say, well, how many days do we pay from this period? We can't pay from this period. Then we can see how many days we pay from the next period. So we just click on this and press F4 to get this. And then we say, how many days can we pay from the next period? And this is where we'll use the offset command. So we take this, whoops, plus, oh shit. See how I'm just in travel all the time, got a goddamn seat. And I'm not one of these people who sits here and talks all the time about their stupid mileage and all that crap. Okay. And then we put this one on. And then we finally put all of them on. Okay? Now, instead of doing that, I'm going to redo this because I hope you see, oh, why didn't you just use the offset command? In fact, let's just do it here. So what you can do instead of this is right over here, you can put offset, and we go up to the period here, and put just a dollar sign here because we're going to copy it across. So just keep it on the row, and then you keep it on that row, and then make it 0 columns. That's all right. Shut up. Make it a 1 height, and then make it a 1 width, and press the F4 key here. Okay, so we can just copy it. Ah, shoot. What did I do? F50. Offset. And then we should be having 2 here. I'm gonna, oh, god damn it. I'm gonna take the maximum thing out. And sorry about the background noise, I kind of don't, oops. This should be minus 54. And then this should be, have started it from there. And then we should have gone across, oh, of course, duh, I forgot to put the sum of it. Offset. Okay. And then so maybe it was a maximum of this.
It was just a lunch stop.
0. Okay, and then we take this, copy that across. Now, the problem is this 35 isn't correct because we had to subtract the prior one. So, sure. And then so that's why I couldn't delete the prior row. We have to put the minimum of this, or how many days we've already used, which is 31 minus the prior days. Okay, and I would have never. Please don't think, oh, that's obvious. Okay, and then if we check this. Okay, there's apparently somebody who's late for a flight. Well, that's really good news. So when we get this, and I did something wrong because minimum, this should have just been we just needed only the row. Okay. Oops. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I see. It just. Ooh, I didn't know that. Okay. So let's Shift Control R. And then it just went to 28 days, 30 days, 31 days. So this uses the offset, the minimum, and the maximum, and it's a complicated thing. And I noticed this psychological phenomena that you think you're smart by doing something like this. You think you're smart, and you're actually dumb, because I don't know how to make this more of a summary thing. Now, let's pretend in this January, instead of having 85 days, we only have 20 days. Let's see if it still works. And it doesn't. Oh, great. So, just a minute. Okay, it's even more ridiculously wrong now. But instead of just subtracting it, we need to accumulate how many days we subtracted before, and that will put it down to 0. So this says add up all the things at the top, subtract off how many days you were at the beginning, and make sure it's not 0. That's the maximum of that is 0. And then make sure you've counted all the days. So we pay 11 this period and 20 next period, and it all works. And I'm recording it. I stopped or started really. Okay, and then we copy all that across. So in the very first, Oh, this is where we just had. Now we
It was
have.
the first time that he added sort of like
20.
yeah,
Oh man. Okay, so I had one of the F4s wrong, and I'm still struggling. And I'm, wondering if we could have maybe we could have put this in a separate thing up here. Let's just do that. So, just so we can review cumulative days. So we put period, and then we'll put, how did we do this? We put the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out here. Okay. So this is just a review. Now on this one, I'm gonna post this video, and I am gonna forget about it. Now, this is one of the very few files that I think, if I ever had to do this again, I would have to check. So we can put equals sum, and then offset, and then go up to the days here, twice, and then go over here, keep it on 0 row 0 column, 1 height, and press F4 3 times. Okay, so we get, this is how many future days there are if we look ahead. Whoops, what am I doing? Control D. Okay, shift. I don't even know what I'm doing when I do that. Okay, that's how many days we have ahead. And then, so now we can replace this sum offset thing with that. And I think we don't need any F4s whatsoever. Whoops. Okay. And no. Okay. Shift Control R. Okay, and let's see if we can do something else. I don't think we can kind of do the cumulative maximum of this or I-45. And I'm just wondering if we can take this sum separately. I don't think so. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so this is cumulative days, and this is cash received from. Okay, and now we can, why don't we put percentage period. Okay, so I'm making a very long, you can call this some kind of accounts receivable aging or something. Okay, and then forward period. Okay, and then let's put one. Now, the interesting part of this, and I'm going to put this into an advanced issue too. The advanced issue is it better to, once we accumulate and have the now we have to take this and divide this by offset, and because this is just going to be divided by the current period, so you can go up to this number here and F4 twice. Everything's going to be on that, and then we keep it on the same row, and then we keep it on the same actually for the column, this is just going to be simply we'll go up, we want this to be column 0, so we'll put this this one F4 3 times minus 1 because I just said we want it to be 0. Okay, Shift Control P to get a percent. And this way, this will be not the percent of the first one, but the percent of February. Okay, and these shouldn't add up to 1, I don't think. Okay. Uh, just let me think about this for a minute, because we might want it to be a percent of this one. I'm sorry, I think this was easier than that. Excuse me. But it's nice to see that anyway, I suppose. Okay, so this is how many days we get paid and what percentage of the total. It's not really, these should add up to 1. Okay, and now we can set up our accounts receivable balance. And let's put our opening balance here first. And then we're going to add the revenues. So and then we'll put this payments period, and then I'm going to just put these ones. Okay, so we can show it. Now, somebody has, nobody will ever show me that. If you had a better way to do this, sometimes in my classes, people show me that, you idiot, why did you do it like that? Okay. So we'll put the opening balance equal to closing balance. We take our revenues that we have and just put those in. Plug those in. There are our revenues. Okay, and then we have payments from period 1. So this is the payments from the last period. So what we're going to do is take we can go backwards one. So just a second, just 1 minute. Okay, I had another problem with this one, but I'm going to go and try again. So when we collect this, we're going to collect it in the future. So you have to push it forward this way. Okay, so when we get to this number, this will actually be backwards here. So you have to figure out how to go forwards and backwards. So actually, we'll put offset, and we'll now take this one, F4. No, you don't press F4. And then we put comma 0, comma shift. Negative F4. Like that. Okay, let's just see. Now if you go forward here, that it puts the 35 in there. We're not finished with this. And then it puts the 65. So we're waiting. This is when we get paid back. Now the amount we get paid back is, we put offset okay.
The TSA has carried through a screening checkpoint.
Just keep that just on the row. Put a 0. And then we'll put a minus.
By order of the
Now, this is going to go down to be
If
0.
you plan to travel with liquids, gels, or aerosols in your carry-on bag, remember
Oops.
311. All liquids, gels, and aerosols must be in 3-ounce or less size containers. Containers must be placed in a 1-quart size clear plastic zip-top bag. Only one bag is permitted per traveler. It must be removed from your carry-on and
What did
placed
I
in
do?
the security bin for X-ray screening. Remember, 311 to speed your screening process. Thank
Keep
you.
it on the same row. We start with the same one. We go down. Okay, just a minute. I thought I did. Okay, I had some kind of F4 wrong, but here, so what happens here is we had no revenues in these revenues. This is 6.4% of these revenues. And then you see it's 93% of these revenues. So let's just take this, divide it by. Okay, so that's how it works. And then we can make our closing balance. The opening balance plus the revenues we receive minus the sum of all of our remaining payments. And I believe we have kind of our aging of the accounts receivable. Okay, and if the kind of the check is to go all the way to the end, make sure it goes down. So now we can put our working capital, and we can put our accounts receivable. And this is easy. We can put the closing balance of accounts payable. And then we can, that side was worth it. And then we can put our change in working capital, which is just simply this.
Again, it depends on the time.
Now, the question is, if we here, should we, when we compute the initial working capital, should we take a year? Should we take just the first value? Now, of course, I changed it. Let's make this 85 days again. So we have a whole big working capital, and then it gets paid paid down. So we need to finance this working capital, because the only cash flow we get cash flow kind of revenues, but we have to pay our expenses. So remember up here when we did our simple IRR, we actually have in this case more working capital than we have. This won't pay anything. This little bit of profit, and we have all this one now. Our accounts receivable are going up. Ah, shit. Of course I made a mistake there. I knew that. Something that didn't look right here. Jesus. Stupid thing. Okay. So now we have, should we, we can't just take this working capital, we have to add this one and this one, but should we subtract this? Or should we just take the accumulated working capital in a year or in a month or something else? Okay. So it's going on and on this video. I think I'm gonna stop it, and let's make part 2 the financing of the working capital. Okay, so I've gone long enough.